Hello Dragons, and welcome to this instructional video for Lesson 5 Part 2, Determining Prices. The main idea behind this economics lesson is the price system coordinates production decisions by steering producers and consumers toward market equilibrium. With that in mind, by the end of watching this video, you will be able to explain what market equilibrium is, explain how the price system handles product surpluses and shortages, and explain how shifts in demand and supply affect market equilibrium. Now that the outcomes for this lesson have been shared with you, let's get started. If the price system is a type of unspoken language, how can you see, as well as feel, its influence on the decisions made by producers and consumers? You can see the price system at work most clearly in how it determines the amounts and prices of goods and services available in the marketplace. The price system helps producers and consumers reach market equilibrium, a situation that occurs when the quantity supplied and the quantity demanded for a product are equal at the same price. At this equilibrium point, the needs of both producers and consumers are satisfied, and the forces of supply and demand are in balance. When a market reaches its equilibrium point, producers and consumers have communicated effectively. You can see the equilibrium point for a product by plotting its demand and supply curves on the same graph. The table on the left shows the demand and supply schedules for tennis shoes. The graph on the right plots this information in a demand curve, D1, and a supply curve, S1. The vertical axis lists the possible prices for a pair of tennis shoes. The horizontal axis lists the quantities that could be demanded and supplied. The point at which these two curves intersect, point E, is the market equilibrium for tennis shoes. Equilibrium exists at a price of $60 and a quantity of 90,000 pairs of shoes. How does the price system actually steer producers and consumers toward the equilibrium point? The process does not take place instantly. In fact, a certain amount of trial and error may be necessary, as producers change prices and quantities of the goods and services supplied. This adjustment process works to eliminate surpluses and shortages, situations in which the forces of supply and demand are not in balance and the market has not reached equilibrium. A surplus exists when the quantity supplied exceeds the quantity demanded at the price offered. You can see an example of a surplus here. Points A and B demonstrate what happens if producers decide to charge $90 for the shoes. At this price, producers are willing to supply 150,000 pairs of tennis shoes, point B. The quantity demanded at this price, however, is lower than 150,000 pairs. At a price of $90, consumers are willing and able to buy only 30,000 pairs of shoes, point A. The result is a surplus of 120,000 pairs, or 150,000 pairs supplied minus 30,000 pairs demanded. The surplus tells producers that they are charging too much for their shoes. After re-examining costs, producers decide that they can lower their price and still make a profit. The lower price increases the quantity demanded and decreases the quantity supplied, eliminating the surplus and steering the market toward equilibrium, point E. A shortage exists when the quantity demanded exceeds the quantity supplied at the price offered. An example of a shortage appears here. Points C and D show what happens if producers decide to charge only $30 for their shoes. At this price, they are willing to produce 30,000 pairs of tennis shoes, point C. The quantity demanded at this price, however, is greater than 30,000 pairs. At a price of $30, consumers are willing and able to buy as many as 150,000 pairs of shoes. Point D. The result is a shortage of 120,000 pairs, or 150,000 pairs demanded minus 30,000 pairs supplied. How do producers react to this situation? The shortage tells them that they are charging too little for the shoes. They decide to raise the price. The higher price decreases the quantity demanded and increases the quantity supplied, eliminating the shortage and steering the market toward equilibrium. Shortages and surpluses occur throughout the marketplace. The price system steers all producers and consumers toward market equilibrium by responding to demand and supply imbalances. As noted in Lessons 3 and 4, a variety of factors can shift a product's entire demand or supply curve to the right or left. Changes in consumer tastes and preferences, market size, income, prices of related goods, and consumer expectations can all shift the demand curve. Similarly, changes in government actions, technology, competition, producer expectations, and the prices of resources and related goods can all shift the supply curve. When either the demand or the supply curve shifts, the equilibrium point also shifts to the new intersection of the curves. You can see an equilibrium shift on these graphs. The graph on the left shows the result of a shift in demand for tennis shoes. Suppose that the tennis championship at Wimbledon is won by a new teenaged athlete. As a result of publicity for the sport, consumer preference for tennis shoes increases. Consumers are now willing to buy more tennis shoes at every possible price, so the demand curve shifts to the right from D1 to D2. What happens to the equilibrium point? It moves from point E1 on the old demand curve to point E2 on the new demand curve. The new equilibrium price is $75, and the new equilibrium quantity is 120,000 pairs of shoes. The graph on the right, however, shows the result of a shift in supply for tennis shoes. Suppose that many firms install new machinery in their factories. The new technology speeds up production and allows the company to supply more shoes to the market at each and every price. As a result, the supply curve shifts from S1 to S2. What happens to the equilibrium point? It moves from point E1 on the old supply curve to point E2 on the new supply curve. The new equilibrium price is $45, and the new equilibrium quantity is 120,000 pairs of shoes. The quantity of tennis shoes demanded and the quantity supplied are once again equal at the same price. So that's the way it is with Lesson 5, Part 2, Determining Prices. At this point, you should know that market equilibrium occurs when the quantity supplied and the quantity demanded for a product are equal at the same price. Surpluses and shortages occur when the market attempts to reach market equilibrium through trial and error. And a shift in demand or supply results in a change in the market's equilibrium point. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel to have the entire catalog of economics videos available at your fingertips. Click the subscribe button and then click the follow bell to receive notifications as to when the channel is updated. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in class, Dragons!